The screams echoed inside the car as it veered toward the edge of the bridge. "Stop the car. Are you crazy?" The dashboard lights flickered red. Rain battered the windshield. The young woman behind the wheel trembled, gripping the steering wheel with white knuckles, her breaths sharp and shaky. "You don't get to hurt people and walk away," she said quietly, eyes never leaving the road ahead. And then everything went still. But what drove her to this moment? What happened during a simple rideshare trip that would lead to the edge of destruction? Why would a woman with so much to lose risk everything for a moment of justice? Let's go back. 2 days earlier, the sun had barely risen over the city skyline when Jade Bennett, 30, locked her tiny apartment and headed out for another long day of driving. She slid into the driver's seat of her black sedan, pulled her locks into a low ponytail, and adjusted the rideshare app. First ride of the day, she whispered to herself, forcing a small smile. Jade was tired for the noise, the stairs, the grind, but she didn't complain. After her mum passed away and her younger brother was sent away for something he didn't do, Jade had learned to survive in silence. Driving people around wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Mostly. At 9:17 a.m., a new ride request popped up, pickup from an upscale downtown bar, even though it was still early. She pulled up and saw them. 3 white men in their late 30s too early. 40s, loud, laughing, reeking of last night's whiskey and privilege. Jade swallowed hard and unlocked the doors. "Yo, drivers, a chick." A black chick. One of them Derek, tall and smug, snorted as he climbed in. "Dibs on front seat," said the second Mike, bulky and red-faced. He flopped down beside her, his cologne sharp and suffocating. The third one Ryan, quiet but with the cold eyes of someone who liked watching more than talking, sat behind her. Jade gave her usual polite smile. "Good morning. Where to?" "Just drive, sweetheart." "We'll tell you," Derek smirked, tossing a wad of gum onto the floor. Jade started the car. Her fingers gripped the wheel a little tighter. It wasn't the first time. It wouldn't be the last. But something about this group felt heavier, meaner. "Don't you people usually work at diners or hospitals?" Mike said casually, as if asking about the weather. Jade kept her eyes on the road. "I drive full-time," she said, voice steady. "Oh, she's educated," Derek chuckled. "What did you major in, Sass?" Ryan's phone flashed. She caught him taking a picture of her through the rearview mirror. "Delete that," she said firmly. "Relax. It's for my collection," he whispered, just loud enough for her to hear. Her heart pounded. She felt trapped, caged inside her own car. But turning back, pulling over, saying something would only escalate things. So she drove. They jeered, laughed, made jokes about her skin, her voice, her attitude. Each word was a knife dressed as a joke. "Don't act like you're better than us," Mike said suddenly. "You people always think you're so strong now. You ain't special. You're just a driver." Jade said nothing, but inside her, something had shifted. Something old and deep and aching, because he was wrong. She was special. She had survived. She was strong. And they'd just made the mistake of reminding her. The ride continued through the city streets, but to Jade, it felt like miles of invisible wounds reopening. They passed the church where her mother used to sing in the choir. She used to drive her there every Sunday before cancer took her voice. Then her breath. Jade blinked hard, forcing herself not to look. Ryan leaned forward from the back seat. "Hey, driver girl. You ever been with a white guy?" Jade didn't flinch. She'd learned long ago not to give people like him the reaction they were fishing for. Mike chuckled. "She's ignoring you, man. You know how they are, mouthy when they're mad, quiet when they scared." Derek raised his phone and started playing something loud and vulgarsome. Parody rap song filled with racist slurs. The lyrics thumped through the speakers like slaps across Jade's dignity. Still, she said nothing, but her hands shook. She gripped the steering wheel harder, her nails digging into her palms. They stopped at a red light near a gas station. For a moment, Jade considered pulling over and telling them to get out. But the way Ryan stared at her in the mirror, the way Mike blocked the passenger door with his elbow, the way Derek smirked like this was all just a game to him. She stayed quiet. When the car rolled forward again, she whispered softly to herself. A mantra her mother used to say, "You are the storm, not the silence." Derek noticed. "What's that, sweetie? Talking to yourself now? Man, this is gold. I should live stream this." She looked at him, finally. A long, still, powerful glance. He laughed like it didn't mean anything, but for a split second, just one, he blinked. Later that evening, Jade sat alone in her car in the grocery store parking lot. Her shift was over, but she hadn't gone home yet. She couldn't not, with all that noise still echoing in her head. She touched her face, as if checking for bruises. There were none, but somehow it still hurt to breathe. Her phone buzzed. A new message from her younger brother, Marcellus. "Still serving time for a fight he didn't start. How you holding up, sis? You still my superhero. Don't forget that." She exhaled sharply, tears finally breaking free. The words cracked something open inside her. She remembered being 12, holding Marcellus's hand as they ran from the park, when boys older than them called them names and threw bottles. She remembered her mother telling her to rise without rage, but not without fire. She stared at her reflection in the rearview mirror. No bruises, no blood, but there was a fire now. The next day, Jade went back to work. She always did, but this time she changed something. Before accepting her next ride, she adjusted the dashcam on her windshield. She hit record. She wasn't just going to survive. She was going to document her pain, her strength, her truth, and she wasn't going to let it happen again. At 3:42 p.m., a new ride request popped up. Derek, Mike, and Ryan. Same bar, same pickup spot. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then she accepted. This time, not with fear. This time, with purpose. Jade's fingers hovered above the dashboard as she waited outside the bar. Her heart thumped against her ribs like a warning drum. But she ignored it. The dashcam light blinked quietly in the background recording. This wasn't just a ride anymore. It was proof. It was confrontation. It was something bigger than fear. The bar door burst open with laughter. There they were again. Derek swaggered out first, wearing sunglasses and entitlement. Mike followed, shirt half-tucked, chewing on something obnoxious. Ryan lagged behind, scrolling his phone, expressionless as ever. Jade unlocked the doors without a word. Derek slid in back this time. Well, look who's back," he sneered. "Miss Uber Queen." Mike climbed into the front again. "You didn't quit. Damn, we really must have inspired her." Ryan sat directly behind her. The car rolled forward. "What you gonna do this time?" Derek asked. "Preach at us? Cry about my—" Jade didn't speak. Her eyes were locked on the road, but her expression was different still, cold, unreadable. "Say something," Ryan muttered, leaning forward. "You act like we're the bad guys." "You are," she said softly. "You just don't see it." Derek chuckled. "Oh, she's got a little bite now. Cute." Jade turned the corner onto a quieter road. Trees lined both sides. No traffic, no police. "Where we going, sweetheart?" Mike asked, brows raised. "This ain't the normal route." "Shortcut," Jade replied calmly. They didn't question it, but they should have. The confrontation. 5 minutes later, Jade pulled into a small, empty parking lot near an abandoned train station. Her fingers slowly twisted the gear into park. She turned round, resting her arm on the back of the seat. The men looked confused. "What is this?" Ryan said slowly. "This," Jade said, tapping the camera on her dashboard, "is where the game ends." Derek scoffed. "Game? I recorded everything yesterday and today." Mike's smile faded. "You think anyone's gonna care about a little ride drama?" he said, trying to laugh it off. "They'll just say you were sensitive." Jade nodded. "They might." Then she reached into her purse and pulled out a small voice recorder. "I also recorded your voices. Every joke, every slur, every threat." For the first time, Derek's face twitched. "That's illegal," Ryan said quickly. "No, it's not. New York is a one-party consent state. I'm the party." She leaned forward. "I don't want your apologies. I don't want your lies. I want you to see what you are." Mike looked around nervously. "You trying to blackmail us?" "No, I'm trying to expose you." Silence. Heavy, choking silence. Jade's voice shook, but she held her ground. "You think this car is your playground? That women like me, black women, exist for your amusement? But not today. I know who I am, and I know what you are." She reached for her phone. "I send this to the news, to the internet, to your jobs unless you get out, now." Derek leaned forward, face reddening. "You're bluffing. You need this job. You ain't got power." Jade's eyes locked onto his. "I have more power than you think." She started uploading the audio file. Ryan grabbed the door handle. Mike opened his door to... Derek hesitated, then finally stepped out, throwing a final insult under his breath. The car doors slammed shut. Jade sat still, alone, safe, breathing, shaking, but victorious. She didn't press send. Not yet, because what she wanted more than revenge was to be heard. Jade sat motionless in her car long after the men were gone. The empty lot, the silence, even the blinking dashcam light, it all felt suspended in time. Her hand hovered over her phone screen where the audio file sat, unsent. 3 options glowed. Save, delete, share. She chose none of them. Not yet. Instead, she leaned back and closed her eyes. For the first time in years, she didn't feel small, or invisible, or powerless. But she did feel something else. Tired. Tired of being strong. Tired of swallowing pain like medicine. Tired of carrying burdens others never even saw. She drove home slowly, every turn a little heavier, as if her car now carried all the weight of what had just happened. That night, her apartment was quiet. The kind of quiet that felt lonely, not peaceful. She placed her phone on the table, still unread, still unsent. She made tea she didn't drink. Then, finally, she sat down and opened her laptop. She logged into a private forum for women of color in rideshare work. She had never posted before, only read silently. But tonight, she typed, "Today I faced 3 men who thought I was nothing. They mocked me, threatened me, filmed me. But I stood up. I recorded everything, and I want to share it. Not for revenge, but because I want people to know we are not invisible. We are not weak. We are not here to absorb hate in silence." She attached the audio file. She clicked post. Her hands trembled. Within minutes, comments flooded in. "I've been through the same thing. Thank you for your courage. You are not alone, sis. We stand with you." One message stopped her cold. "My daughter just started driving Lyft. She's 22. I worry every night. Thank you for doing what I couldn't." Jade covered her mouth and cried. Not out of pain, but out of release. Out of finally being heard. The next morning, Jade didn't expect what happened next. Her post went viral. First within the rideshare forums, then on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. The audio clip spread like wildfire. Podcasts discussed it. Activists shared it. One woman even called it a mirror held up to America. A local journalist reached out, asking for an interview. Jade hesitated. But after hours of sitting with the decision, she said yes. 2 days later, live interview. The studio was small, bright, intimidating, but Jade sat straight, wearing a simple black blouse and the same calm fire in her eyes. The reporter smiled warmly. "Jade, your story has touched thousands. What made you decide to speak up?" Jade looked straight at the camera. "I didn't want to be brave. I wanted to survive. But surviving in silence started to feel like dying slowly. And I realized if I don't speak, nothing changes. Not for me. Not for the next girl who looks like me. So I chose truth." The reporter nodded. "What do you hope happens next?" Jade answered without pause. "I hope the world listens. Not just to me, but to every woman who's ever been talked over, laughed at, dismissed. I hope we stop asking victims to smile through trauma. And I hope those 3 men see that even the quietest voice can echo." Backstage, her phone buzzed again. Another message from her brother, Marcellus. "Saw the clip on TV. You ain't just my superhero anymore. You belong to the world now. Proud of you." She smiled through the tears. For the first time, she felt something different in her chest. Not fear, not rage, but peace. The following week was a whirlwind. The video of Jade's confrontation had been seen by millions. Interviews followed. News stations picked it up. Politicians tweeted her name. Celebrities quoted her speech. But fame had never been the point. Jade stood quietly in her living room one morning, watching her own face on the screen. A clip from her interview replayed. "We are not invisible. We are not here to absorb hate in silence." She turned the TV off. Outside the apartment, the world hadn't changed overnight. Her streets still cracked in places. The grocery store still gave her extra stares. The weight of being a black woman in America hadn't lifted, but inside her, something had changed forever. A letter in the mail. Days after the story had broken, an envelope arrived with no return address. Inside was a handwritten note. We were wrong. All of us. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just saying, you didn't deserve what we did. Ryan. Jade stared at the paper for a long time. It didn't make things right. It didn't erase what they'd said, what they'd done. But it meant something. A crack in the wall. A moment of reflection in someone who once only reflected cruelty. The message that mattered most. Later that night, Jade video called Marcellus. He sat in the prison's dull recreation room, but his face lit up when she appeared on the screen. You famous now, he joked. She laughed. I didn't want to be. Nah, he said seriously. But you needed to be heard. And now, maybe people like me get heard too. He paused, then looked at her through the screen, eyes heavy with love and pride. You're changing things, sis. Just by driving. Her throat tightened. Not because she felt strong, but because she knew what it cost to feel seen. 1 month later, the rideshare app changed its policy. A new feature was rolled out. Automatic voice and dashcam recording, with one-click reporting for harassment. They named it Jade's Safe Mode, not officially, but the drivers knew. She received letters from other women, Black, Asian, Latina, thanking her, telling their stories, sharing their scars. A few even said they decided to keep driving because of her. It was late evening when Jade picked up her last ride for the day. A young girl, maybe 19, maybe 20, stood nervously at the curb. Hair in a ponytail. Keys clutched in her hand like a shield. She opened the back door and paused. Sorry, she said. Are you? You're Jade, right? Jade smiled gently. Yeah, hop in. The girl nodded. I just want to say, thank you. For what? For proving we don't always have to take it. That it's okay to fight back with truth. They drove in silence for a while. A good kind of silence. At the red light, Jade looked in the mirror and said softly, You're not alone out here. Don't ever forget that. The girl smiled, and Jade smiled too. Because this ride didn't end in pain. This one ended in hope. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to give it a like. Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. And most importantly, subscribe for more powerful stories that deserve to be heard. Your support helps us give a voice to the unheard.